It has been tough to watch if you're a Bunnies fan over the opening couple of weeks. So much excitement about what the side could have, and that news tonight that Lachlan Ilias won't be a part of the side to take on the Alpho, the Roosters. Gal, what are they getting wrong?
Oh, look, I don't know exactly what they're getting wrong. I'm not a part of the four walls, but I've got to say I probably do agree with the double. Look, it's hard. This Lachlan Ilias situation is hard because the halfback you've trained with the entire off-season has now been dumped. I thought he may have gotten a chance, at least given a month to prove his worth and to hit back. Look, he has been terrible. I can't cover it up or cover what he's done. He has been absolutely ordinary the first couple of games. So, look, if he's doing this in a couple of weeks' time after that, without doubt he deserves to be dropped. But to change your halfback, just two rounds in the competition is a big call. I did do a bit of research on Dean Hawkins. He's a 24-year-old, apparently a very, very good player. New South Wales Cup Player of the Year last year. So from all reports, he's a fantastic player and a great guy to be bringing in. He can totally steer the team around the park. I've been told, I haven't watched him a lot, but I did do a bit of research on him today. They say he's an old-school halfback. He'll be able to steer the team around the park, and then obviously you've got the 5'8" outside him and the fullback to be able to play all the footy. But yeah, look, I'm a little bit surprised that Ilias has been dropped this early in the season.
Right or wrong call, Gus, after 2 rounds and 2 losses for South?
Look, those within the club will probably know better than me. They're the ones that make those decisions. I think everyone's jumping up and down a little bit too early, though. I mean, it's very early in the season. They have played Manly, who look like the form team of the competition at the moment, and last year's grand finalists, the Broncos, up there on their patch of dirt. They haven't played a home game yet. And I think just looking at this competition, there are a lot of teams that South Sydney are going to beat. They're just not playing against them at the moment. So I'd be settling down if I was everybody. I wouldn't be too critical at the moment. The halfback change is interesting. Dean Hawkins is a fine young player, but so too is Lachlan Ilias. I think there are a lot of things going wrong with South in their game that don't help the halfback at all. It's up to them to make that decision. He is a good player, Dean Hawkins, but Souths are far from a spent force here.
And off the field, it wasn't made any better, I guess, post-match at Suncorp on Thursday night. Latrell speaking to Ben Dobbin on Triple M radio and dropping a few expletives along the way. That seems to have just sort of, I guess, kept the wound open for the entire 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it's exploded somewhat. Now NRL CEO Andrew Abdo has called South Sydney calling for a meeting with Latrell Mitchell. I think the players have a day off on Wednesday, so they're going to try and meet at some stage this week. That the NRL has decided that they won't sanction Latrell over those comments, dropped 4 or 5 F-bombs on radio on Triple M there. And look, it's an interesting one. It's divided opinion at the moment because Latrell, on the back of not being sanctioned for making comments around the judiciary process with Spencer Leniu, the NRL then again decided to not sanction him in relation to this issue here. And it brings to the conversation, which many people are having right now, the point that Sam Burgess made last year on his way out of the club around double standards and special treatment and whether Latrell is held to account like the rest of them. Now, South Sydney have decided they're not going to sanction Latrell over this. They're disappointed with the fact that he said. They realise what he said is the wrong thing to say, but they're not going to hang him out to dry. I'm interested from you guys, though. Obviously, he's done the wrong thing, but do you see a bigger problem here with Latrell Mitchell and South Sydney and the way he's acting at the moment?
Well, look, I'm not within the 4 walls, so I don't know exactly how he carries on at training. I can only presume he does the right thing in terms of train hard, and he's a leader of the club. With the issue itself, the incident itself, I probably swear too much myself, so I wasn't offended by the language, but I understand why.
You don't do it with a microphone.
I know that, but words have slipped out of my mouth before in that situation, and I think Latrell realised at the back end of that conversation, they knew he'd done the wrong thing. That's why he said, don't write these fellas. He tried to cover it up, tried to smother it, tried to make a joke of it, but he knew he'd done the wrong thing. He's not silly, Latrell. I think that the biggest thing for me, which I raised my eyebrows like, oh, that's not a good look, is when after he'd done the language, he went straight to his 100 tries and spoke about his 100 tries and said how happy he was. That's the part for me. If you're a South fan or you're a South player, you're like, oh, like Latrell, it's not about you, mate. It's about the team and the fact we've just lost our 2nd game in a row. That was the issue for me. Look, as I said, I'm not offended by the language. He shouldn't have been doing it in that situation, and I think he knew he'd done the wrong thing. That's why I think he tried to smother it. But for me, it was the fact that he was happy at the back end of the game, they've just been beaten. That's what I was, as a former player, I would have been a bit frustrated with if I'm a South fan or a South player.
There are people in South Sydney growing tired of the antics, though. Like, a lot of people who have supported him over the years are starting to grow tired of the antics. They don't care that you've scored 100 tries over your career. What they care about is they've won 4 of their last 15 games. They're 0-2 to start the season. You've missed a large part of that. A club legend's walked out on the club, and these things are starting. The fans aren't happy with the way things are going. The fact that Latrell Mitchell scored 100 tries and celebrating it, the fact that he's out at 2 a.m. in Las Vegas at a club 2 nights before a game. These things matter to the fans. They care about winning and losing, and when it doesn't look like you are committed to the cause, and it's optics. A lot of it is optics. But when you're not committed to the cause optically, with the question of Sam Burgess over the years, South Sydney have said yes, he was afforded special treatment more than anyone. Well, Sam put his body on the line for that club more than anyone. You couldn't question Sam Burgess's commitment. Where people are getting frustrated with Latrell Mitchell is, whether or not you're doing stuff off field and you're a good bloke or not, it doesn't look as though you are committed to the cause. And that now reflects on Jason Demetriou, unfortunately, and he's going to be in the spotlight.
How do you manage a player and a person like Latrell, Gus? Can you?
Yeah, look, I have spoken about Latrell Mitchell his entire career, most of it quite complimentary because he's a hell of a player. And he was for the Roosters, and he certainly has been for South Sydney, and he's had big moments in this game. I have also, during that time, been highly critical of him in a number of areas, both on the field and off the field, with some of the things that he's done. And I said very early in his career, if you don't pull him into line now, you're never going to be able to. And I think that Latrell Mitchell has become bigger than some of the people that are trying to control him. For Latrell, the only advice I would have at the moment is that if he wants to be outspoken, if he wants to be heard, and he does want to be heard, he demands respect from everybody on all sorts of fronts. All right? He speaks out openly on a number of issues, demanding respect. You also have to show respect. And that's all that was the other night. I'm not worried about the expletive language, and I'm not worried about, it doesn't offend me, but at that time, at that place, on that platform, you don't swear. It's as simple as that. We all know that. Mm-hmm. For him to do that is a total lack of respect. It's a lack of respect for his teammates, for the game, for the media, and the people that are listening at home wanting to see how he felt after that game. He needs to respect those processes as much as he wants people to respect the things that he's passionate about. It's as simple as that. And if he stops showing respect for people, people are going to have less respect for what he has to say. The media go running to him a lot on a lot of issues because they know he will comment, all right? And they're going to use him up, and he's going to be found out if he keeps allowing them to do that. He's also going to be found out because people won't listen to him anymore unless he starts to show respect for the game and people within the game, his teammates and everyone else who's trying to make a living out of the game. What he did the other night was disrespectful, simple as that.
Gus, how do you change that when you've had a player as big as Sam Burgess at the club? He from all reports, he tried to change him or tried to change him through Demetriou. Demetriou wouldn't have a bar of it, so to speak. He's then left the club. So you got the biggest name has gone through South Sydney over the past 10 years. Sam Burgess left over Latrell Mitchell supposedly. Yeah. How do you then change that attitude when they've had such a big person leave the club because of him?
Well, I commented on this many years ago when he was young. Because you could just see it. It was in the embryo stage at the time. And I said, you need to get over the top of this straight away, all right? Because this is a team game. You know, you represent your club, you represent your team, and you represent the game as a whole. And Latrell was determined on being very individual and very set apart from everybody else. Now, he is on the field. He's an elite talent, there's no doubt about it. But off the field, you have responsibilities. It's as simple as that. And the people who had him didn't rein him in, all right? And it's been allowed to exacerbate to where it is the point now that the game can't even step up and control it, all right? And they think that treating him like that is going to fix it. It won't until someone sits Latrell down and he understands the facts of life and facts of the life that he's in right now. Now, just who's big and strong enough to do that, I don't know.
To be a fly on the wall in that meeting with Andrew Abdo later this week, Michael, yes?
Yeah, hopefully later in the week. Yeah.
OK, we'll see how that unfolds as well. Now, of course, this all sets up...